Welcome back into the Just Beavin podcast, number 11 here in our power rankings entering this 2026 season. 3 episodes in the books. Matt Hendricks at 14, Dave Pitchford at 13, Ty McCain at number 12. I'm going to probably have to count all of these down. It's up to my memory to keep track of who we talk about and who we're diving into. JP, as we look at number 11, it'll be Mr. Wade Worthington making an appearance here on the preseason power rankings.
Yeah, shout out Wade. Congratulations on actually got engaged a couple
Yes,
days
sir.
before his episode's coming out. So big
Congratulations, man.
congratulations to Wade on that. Yeah, let's get right into it.
Yeah, W's in the comments section here on our YouTube channel. We thank you all so much for watching and staying tapped in here to our preseason
And
series.
those roses, baby.
let's look right at Wade's roster, why don't we? And kind of in parallel with Ty, he made the trade that got him Jalen Hurts coming out of the last episode. And JP, you talked about Hurts a lot. I'll let you start here with the quarterback room. Where do you have Wade's QBs ranked? This is obviously the best room we've had to date.
Yeah, I got Wade's quarterback room at seventh. I like Hurts. I again, Hurts is another one of those guys. I feel like I say this about four different guys every episode, but I don't know if it's a universal thing or if it's just our league, but he feels severely undervalued. I think everyone kind of grasps the reality that he's just not a very great, NFL QB, but we're completely glossing over the fact that the guy's never finished lower than QB8 in fantasy. Who the hell cares how he is in real life if he's gonna feast in fantasy? And unlike Fields, Hurts is already tied to long term, so it's not like he can just up and be replaced the next year. I mean, he could, but it would hurt the Philadelphia Eagles checkbooks a lot. So Darnold again also undervalued. I get everyone's like we're still wishy washy on what to do with Darnold, but I mean the guy just won a Super Bowl, so there's obviously some value there. He's going to be the starter, and I still like Bryce Young. I refuse to give up on Bryce Young. I think Bryce Young can be an adequate starter. I think they're going to tap into his rushing upside a little bit more, and for fantasy that could be something really good. So yeah, I got this room ranked at seventh, and yeah, I really like this room.
Eve, where are we sitting here?
Yeah, I go back and forth. I got this room at 8. Jalen Hurts is a great fantasy quarterback. Not a good IRL quarterback. With Sam Darnold, Kubiak out of the picture now. It's gonna be interesting how he rolls with that with his new OC coming in. Then you got Bryce. I'm not a big fan of Bryce. I'm I got the mindset if you can't see over your line, I don't think you're gonna succeed.
Dude,
So
Caleb can barely see over the line.
okay, but he's also like 4 inches taller than Bryce. Bryce is literally like 5'6", not actually, but he's like maybe 5'9". But I'm not a big Bryce Young fan. If Matt Hendricks was on this podcast, we'd probably be here for hours for how many things he could say about this man. But other than that, I got nothing but good things about this quarterback room. It's a weird one, but I think it'll succeed for Wade's team.
Yeah, just like JP, I have it at 7. And adding Hurts definitely helps. Hurts takes Wade's team to a whole different level. We've mentioned he's more of a fantasy relevant player than anything else. And hey, guess what? We are a fantasy football league. So good thing that works perfectly here. And game changing in every way. Beeb, I like the point you brought up with Darnold and Kubiak. That'll be interesting to see how that's monitored. But either way, he's got a Super Bowl champion quarterback in his room, 2 of them, and Hurts and Darnold. And Bryce Young just helped the Panthers to the playoffs, guys who are winning football players. I think that gets lost in the shuffle a little bit with fantasy. Try to toe the line between taking guys and having guys in the dynasty format that are good players, but also how important is it to have guys that are just on winning teams, that guys are going to have more success or in better systems. And I think that's the case with Darnold, obviously, coming off a Super Bowl win, Jalen Hurts, and you kind of know what to expect out of him, especially when Philly gets the ball in the red zone. And Bryce Young, I think the arrow's continuing. I know keep trade cut as the stupid red downward trend for him, but I think this is another opportunity for him to get better this season. Will Howard's in there as well. If something happens to Aaron Rodgers, man, I mean the floor is open for Howard or Aller, who's rostered by Matt, and then Quinn Ewers just hanging on for the vibe. Solid depth. Those 2 guys who aren't starters could probably work away into a starter too. We saw Quinn Ewers get a couple of starts for Miami toward the end of the year last year. Not like that means anything, but still, it's important to note overall. And I like the average age, 26 years old. I think that's nice with this group. That's kind of a sweet spot here for the average age of the quarterback room here in this league, especially coming off the last episode where Ty's was 5 years older than this. So I have it ranked at 7th. And then the running back room. Let's talk about the differences between our last episode that we just did and this one. Ty had 6 running backs. Wade has 12. And not saying more running backs equals better room. But that's the case that we have here. I have Wade's running backs ranked 9th here in the league. Josh Jacobs, obviously some stuff off the field this offseason that's worth monitoring. But I think in Green Bay, his tenure as a Packer, he's been pretty consistent, man. I think as long as he's been healthy and on the field, you've known what to get out of him. In terms of the immediate impact production, this is another group that's mixed in age. Warren and looking at what he could bring this year, I feel like he's been a steady presence in fantasy the last couple of years. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, a really, really interesting rookie season. A 7th-round pick, played just 1 game at Arizona in his final season there due to eligibility issues. Had a real nice rocky start, picked up some steam, and was just kind of up and down overall. It's tough to value a guy like that, quite frankly, what he could bring this year, but definitely not a bad guy to have on the roster. Katron Allen as well, a fellow commander and a rookie. You got a few rookies in here, Claiborne and Adam Randall. The depth in this room is real. He's got guys on the same team. Aaron Jones, can't believe you just glossed over him. He's got a lot of handcuffs, or he's got a lot of duos in terms of running back rooms. Jones and Mason out in Minnesota, Merritt and Allen in Washington,
and
Claiborne in Minnesota as well. And also you got Lloyd and Wilson out in Green Bay. It's Chris Brooks. Shout out Chris Brooks, a legend. We talked about him a lot on the pod last year. Jack had to start him a lot out of necessity. It's a good problem to have. What team is Najee Harris even on anymore? Is he still a
free agent?
Or he's a free agent? Okay, that's why his value is so low. Nonetheless, not even looking at that, not saying, oh, the duos are everything, but what have we learned? If you have multiple options, Jacobs, obviously, he's got all the handcuffs in terms of Floyd and Wilson. I don't hate this room. I have it ranked 9th. There are better rooms, significantly better rooms in this league, but there are also much worse ones as well. And Jacobs is a guy, like I said, you know what you're going to get at the very top. JP?
Yeah, I got this running back room ranked 8th. The star power mixed with, I think there's some guys who could, outperform their real life values, like Katron Allen, I think Jordan Mason has that potential as well. Jaylen Warren is going to be an interesting one. That room's going to be really interesting with Dowdle. They still have Caleb Johnson there. Who knows what the new coaching staff thinks of him? He's probably a trade candidate, but the Pittsburgh running back room will definitely be something to monitor. And that's kind of what you were almost alluding to with the Redskins running back room. Bill Allen, Rashad White is there. I'm missing another name, but point being is that there's a lot of names, not a lot of great names, but there's a lot of names, and so we're really not sure what's going to happen in that room. The Minnesota running back room is definitely also a weird one because Jordan Mason has got rocks for hands, so he can't catch a football, and Aaron Jones only gets about there it is, bang. And then Aaron Jones only plays about 8 games a year, so that's a weird room. Najee Harris value, if he ever comes back to play football, will probably go up again, but I like this room. I think Josh Jacobs is still an elite fantasy weapon. Jaylen Warren could be, highs of highs, lows of lows. We'll see what happens with that one. But overall, Josh Jacobs puts this room on his back, and I factored in some of the guys I like Katron Allen, like Jordan Mason, to kind of break out there to is kind of what led me to having him at 8th.
Yeah, I'll make this quick. I got it at 9. Some notable guys I like on this running back side. I like Katron Allen, like you guys were talking about. I really do think, and Wade's probably gonna jump out of his seat when he hears this from me. I really do think he'll end up being the RB1 by week 10. Just with that weird running back room in Washington, you got, like JP said, and you said, you got Rashad White, you got Krosky Merritt, you got Jerome Ford. Not that I think Ford's going to take a lot of carries from them, but I think it's going to be a competition between Allen and White. I don't think Krosky Merritt's going to make. I don't think he's going to make it to week 10, but I think he'll be the RB3 by the end of the year. Another guy I like talking about is I like Josh Jacobs. Obviously, that's a noticeable one, but I think he's going to be a workhorse for Green Bay. You saw he was off the field a couple times last year with health. If he can stay healthy, I think he's going to be a workhorse for Wade's team and be he's going to show some flashes. And I think he might. I'm trying to think here. What do you think the most touchdowns he's ever had in a career, Josh Jacobs? I knew he had a good year for the Raiders.
It's 18, I think.
18.
something
I
like that,
I
16,
really
17, 18.
that's what I was gonna say. I really think he can break his own touchdown record this year. I think he's gonna go nuclear. As much as I hate the Packers, I think he's gonna have a really, really good season.
All righty, Beav, where do you have this receiver room ranked? Keep Trade Cut has it at 14. I think a lot of that is because of the just lack of quantity of receivers on Wade's roster.
Yeah, if Matt's team wasn't a team in this league, it would probably be 14, but I actually have him at 13, Wade. It's a lot of question marks in this receiver room, as you guys probably think too. You look at Jaden Reed, broke his collarbone last year, came back, got hurt again. Uh, he showed flashes in a couple games, like he showed flashes in that Bears game, playoff game, but he had some crucial drops towards the end of the season that cost him a lot of opportunities. You got Jacoby Myers, who I really like. It'll be interesting how he does in that offensive Lawrence, and you got Parker Washington coming back. Like JP was telling me the other day. Oh, I can't even think of his. I don't even know why I can't think of his name.
What team?
Jack's the guy that we fired for the Bears OC that one year. Goddamn, he was on Seattle. I can't think of his
Shane Waldron.
freaking. There you go, Shane Waldron. He's going to be involved in that offense, so it scares me a little bit because us Bears fans saw that what we had to deal with, and it was not pretty. But then you got Bernard, you got Troy Franklin, who I see a lot of upside from. I think Franklin could be that receiver three. He's going to be battling out with Pat Bryant. I think. He could be really good here. And then you got Jawan Jennings and Judy. Two guys that could show some flashes and break out, or two guys that could be in the dumps by week 7. So he just got a lot of question marks. I think it's good and bad, and he just doesn't really have a dominant receiver like other teams have. So I'll leave it to there and let you guys finish. JP?
I had his room ranked at 13th. I went on that rant about how awful Dade's wide receiver room is, and I think this one's a little better. Um, like Drew said, though, I think Drew nailed it with Jaden Reed. He after that rookie season, it felt like Jaden Reed was going to be like the guy in Green Bay, and he's just never really amounted to anything more than being a solid number two. And Drew even said it, the drops last year. I remember, I think
It was when we were at the Bears game when he had that drop. Yeah.
yeah, and not only that, I just watched like a 10-minute YouTube video of just various Packers fans' reaction to the collapse in that game. I watch it like once a month. It's a great video. But there's like a Jaden Reed drop on third down or something, which on their last drive going to score, and their reactions are just hilarious. But that's beside the point. I like Jacoby Myers. It hurt to trade him, but I like the value I was getting back on an old guy. I like Jeremy Bernard, but the situation, it's just weird. It's a very crowded room for a team that I don't think is going to throw the ball very much. Judy's whatever at this point. Shout out Rashad Bateman for never amounting to literally anything. Shout out Debo Hamuel, that fat fuck. And then Troy Franklin and Jawan Jennings. I think Franklin actually could be sneaky, has some sneaky value. Jawan Jennings he'll be good when Addison gets arrested for speeding or whatever it's going to be this year. He'll step in and be good. But other than that, I don't think he'll have a whole lot of fantasy relevance. But just as the guys here, they're very, very safe floors. I don't think any of these guys will be the reason he wins any weeks. None of them are going to go nuclear, but they're always all going to get 9+ points, and that is a lot more trustworthy than Quentin Johnston and Michael Bum Wilson. So I got this room ranked 13th.
I'm going to go a bit on the opposite side of what we've been preaching here in this series so far. We've said that about 80% of the decisions we make in the rankings, both for positionally and just by the team, are about this current season. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm going to go on the 20% here. I'm looking beyond this year, and that's why I'm ranking his room dead last in the league. Like JP said, there are safe floors. And honestly, if we're looking at strictly 2026 only, this is not the worst receiving room in the league. But there is the slight factor of us looking at what does the short and long-term future look like here. We mentioned Rashad Bateman. That guy has to be a top 3 traded player, or at least not traded. He has to have spent more time on the trade block in this league than mostly any other player. Like literally a guy who we all thought, oh, we're just waiting on Bateman to do something in year whatever. It's never happened. Debo's done. Jennings, I don't know. I mean, he's a case of, was it San Fran? Did he only thrive there? I mean, at least he's in Minnesota, right? With Kevin O'Connell. He's got a good offensive mind as his coach, but It's a new
The
situation. Who knows?
the Jawan Jennings things, it's one of those moves where you're gonna notice it in real life.
Correct.
It makes the Vikings a 10 times better team, but in fantasy, it's gonna do just about nothing.
Jerry Judy. I mean, he's a true mixed bag. I think when looking at he's had some incredible weeks in this league, but then there's also been times where guys have started and we've come on the show and have said, why in the world was Jerry Judy even considered to be in a starting lineup this week? We talk about Jaden Reed, his health. If he gets down the field, and once again, I hate to compliment a Packer, but he is a guy from the Chicago suburbs, so I'll at least give him a shout in this right. He's a good player, but when he stays on the field, he needs to stay healthy. That's a big thing. Jacoby Myers is average. Bernard, I love the talent. He's stuck in Pittsburgh. He is stuck behind Michael Pittman and DK Metcalf, guys who are making significant money in front of him. Kind of like Ibuka last year with Tampa Bay, like with Godwin and Evans. If anything, I think the situation is slightly worse, given the fact that it's Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, and also too the guys that are in front of Bernard are getting paid a lot more money than the guys in front of Egbuka, and I think Egbuka is probably a better talent than Bernard to kind of turn that all in. And Troy Franklin, that's a guy who I don't think anyone on this in this league would be upset rostering a player like Troy Franklin. Now, you hear me describe this room, and you're thinking, Andy, how do you rank this dead last in the league? It's just the long-term vision, the future in the next couple of years. This is one of the few things in these rankings that went into me ranking something lower because of the I don't like the long term look of this. I don't. I mean, you look at the bottom two spots, Bateman and Samuel will not be rostered in this league the next year or so. Probably not. Maybe they are, but if so, their roles are going to be even more diminished than they are now, which isn't even possible. So there's a lot of wide receiver threes, wide receiver fours in this group, maybe some wide receiver two ceilings, but I don't see a true number one receiver in this room, or at least a guy who has the potential to be Jaden Reed at best. And that's why it's hard for me to stomach. There's good depth here. It's just missing an alpha, in my honest opinion, and how I assess the wide receiver room. I'll get us started here with the tight ends. It's a really short list, but there are some effective guys here for Wade. I ranked his tight ends in the league 10th. So there are better rooms, but there are certainly worse as well. Hawkinson and Freiermuth, pretty safe floors. They stay in the same spots. You get the occasional 2-touchdown game from Hawkinson and Freiermuth. Jake Tongs is a legend in this league. I know Luke will appreciate that shout.
Jake Tongs.
Musgrave, he's also a legend in regards of an anytime touchdown bet. And Tanner Koziel's a rookie. I believe Jacksonville is the spot for him, if I'm not mistaken. But he was not the only tight end drafted by the Jags this year. Nate Borkinger was drafted in the second round, and what was probably one of the more puzzling picks in the entire NFL draft. And they're both behind Brenton Strange, who just got paid a good amount of money by the Jags. So not sure how effective he's going to be. I think you know what to expect. It's an older group because of Hawk and Freiermuth, but like I mentioned, there's at least a presence there. There are some tight end rooms in this league where there is no presence at all. I think 10th is the appropriate ranking, in my opinion. Beef?
Yeah, I got Wade for his tight ends. I got him at 11. I do like some of his names he's got up here. But I just don't see, like, for instance, I really like Coxon this year. I think we'll get into it when we do our awards. I won't say too much about it. Uh I think he'll bounce back. It was a real disappointment for him last year, from seeing him not really do anything, if I'm going to be completely honest. Wasn't even getting in the end zone, wasn't even getting catches. Like, there's some weeks I think he had maybe one catch, or if any. So just seeing him a couple years ago on Detroit and his couple first years on the Vikings just exploding. I mean, us Bears fans know us. See, he seems to explode on us, and we just didn't even see that last year
What do you
from
mean
him
by
in
that?
any games. What?
Sorry.
What's wrong?
Um,
All right. So yeah, I'll just leave it there.
well, talking about exploding on us, I will pick it up there. I had the tight end room 11th. But
Sorry.
I think Drew brings up valuable point there. It does depend on whether or not Hawkinson explodes. Now, hopefully not on us, but
Shit.
if Hawkinson goes off, I think that we're talking about a top 6 tight end room in our league, top 6, top 7 tight end room in the league there. But I have him at 11th. It really is all Hawkinson dependent. I think Freiermuth is actually going to have one of his best statistical seasons this year. It all kind of makes sense with the McCarthy offense. I could see it. And by statistical season, I mean fantasy PPR stats, not real life stats. But after Hawk and Fryermuth, there isn't much to work with there. Unfortunately, Musgraves just never had the opportunity. He got hurt. Kraft broke out into one of the best tight ends in the league. So just never got his opportunity. Probably never going to get it again in Green Bay. I also saw a TikTok. This guy put together a compilation. It was like no, it probably wasn't 8 minutes. It was at least 4 minutes of Luke Musgrave falling down after catching a pass. And apparently every time the guy catches a pass, he falls down afterwards. Like he just can't keep his footing. It's good stuff. But it all comes down to whether Hawkinson can get back to his old form or not. But otherwise, it could be even lower than 11th. It's going to be a very volatile room. But if Hawkinson explodes, this will be like a 6-7 best tight end room in the league.
I thought I said something bad, but I guess that is pretty bad. But
we're talking
No,
about
you
putting
didn't say anything
together
bad.
little sneak peek. We're talking about putting together a blooper reel of the show in the first few years we've had it. That clip is 100% gonna find its way onto that video. JP, while you still have the floor, we want to look at Wade's draft capital.
Yeah, and something else I wanted to add. I'll start mentioning it. In the other shows earlier when we're starting the conversation, but Wade has the 5th oldest team in the league, sitting at 27 even. His average age is 27 even.
Nice.
And I lied, he has the sixth oldest team. But regardless, I have him 9th. I have him 10th for picks. He's got absolutely nothing in 2027 or 2028. But then he has 2 firsts in 2029. When I initially made the list, he had a first in 2027. That has now gone to 2029. I didn't feel it warranted moving him up or down either way. But yeah, it'll take a while, and Wade's obviously not going to win a championship in anytime soon. So it'll take a while for Wade to get back to, or I guess even start to be a contending team. But there is a foundation for it to start in 2029.
Beef.
Yeah, I'll hop in here real quick. I got Wade's picks at 9. Kind of just because he's got those 2 firsts in 2029, but I mean he's got nothing in 2027, 2028. I mean that 4th round pick, you see it's literally 0. I mean that guy he drafts, if he even has his pick by the draft, probably only make a roster or be on a roster within 2 years. And he's got 2/3 in 2028. And I mean, statistically, the 3rd round does have a higher hit rate than the 2nd round in our league. So, I mean, could benefit him, but probably not. So, I don't know. We'll see. What do you got?
I have him at 9 as well. Not much to add. Not a lot of exciting picks. It's certainly an interesting way to go about the rebuild. Wade's made some interesting trades in the short time that he's been. Not that it's been a short time, but he's the newest member of this league in terms of the turnover we've had as a group, and he has certainly made his presence known here in the league with the moves that he's made. He's had a lot of eye-catching trades, that's for sure. So he ranks 9th for me. Be interesting to see if he's able to acquire, if he wants to acquire any more 2027 capitals. We continue to mention early on, we're recording this here in July, but we've been chatting about this 2027 draft class in fantasy for a long time. So we'll see how valuable those picks become as the season moves along. Let's get to our awards for Wade's roster, guys. And we mentioned Ty in the last episode. These guys made the deal, Hurts and Mayfield being involved. How that changes things. The team MVP, the breakout candidate, and the X Factor. I'm going to start with the team MVP. I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts. I know we don't want to do quarterbacks. I want to do Josh Jacobs so bad, but just with everything this past offseason, the off the field stuff, he has gotten hurt a couple of times the past few years. And just in general, I mean, we talked, JP, you mentioned what? He's never had a season where he's been ranked lower than the QB 8. I mean, I know we don't like using quarterbacks, but with Hurts' rushing ability, it takes him to a whole nother level in that position. It's really hard at this point to look at anyone else. I think before the Hurts trade, Josh Jacobs was Wade's MVP for me, but when you have a guy who could be that dynamic, and as I literally said earlier in the video, he takes not just the quarterback room, he takes this entire team to a different level. He's got to be the most valuable player.
Yeah, I actually am in the same. I am actually in the same boat. Wow. I had Jacobs listed as the MVP. Then he makes the trade, and like I said, I don't want to give the MVP to a quarterback, but just the fact that Hurts has the rushing ability to be the QB1 to score 40 points on a week. Now, the moment the tush push gets banned, that he loses all
Yeah.
relevance to that spot. But for now, Hurts is the MVP. Sorry about that. And yeah, Hurts, like Andy said, takes this team to. It's not just a half-ass out every week. You're actually gonna have to put up numbers, or Wade is going to beat you.
Yeah, I got the MVP actually as Josh Jacobs. You know, as I talked earlier, I think JP's the one that said it. Said that his highest touchdowns he's ever had in a season is 18. I genuinely think he's gonna break that this year if he stays on the field and stays healthy. I know he missed a couple games last year, so if he stays on the field, I think he could make Wade's team better than what it is and help him contribute to more wins. So there you have it. And I
Drew,
think,
who do you? I was gonna
what's
say,
up?
who's
Go
your
ahead.
breakout candidate for him? I was gonna
Uh,
transition.
yeah, I was just gonna say real quick. I think the whole whatever he got, the trouble he got into with the police or whatever. I think it's basically gonna be like the Stephon Diggs thing. I think they'll drop all the charges and do all that stuff. But, anyways, my breakout candidate, I got Jerry Judy. I think he is gonna bounce back if Deshaun starts. Now, if it's Shador, I'd probably have to come back and have Andy make a new segment for me for my breakout. So, and also, uh, yeah, I got Jerry Judy. So I keep up that.
Yeah, I'll hop
JP.
in. We're talking about breakout.
Yeah, sorry.
There's no
Yeah.
one else. Yeah. There's no one else who could fit this billing better than Bryce frickin' Young. We're
No,
talking about
stop,
a
bro.
QB1
Jeez.
season on the horizon. I think this is Bryce is going to go out. He's going to earn that 5th-year option. He's going to earn a long-term extension, cement himself, and he is going to keep pounding.
Keep
Shout out,
pounding.
shout out Bryce Young. He's my breakout pick for this year.
I hate to give a Packer an award. My breakout's going to be Jaden Reed. I know he's technically kind of broken out already, but I'm talking about ascending to a position he's never been in before. In terms of Wade's roster, he's got to be Wade's wide receiver one. So if there's someone who can break out on this team to be a top dog, it's going to have to be Jaden Reed. Health is everything, man. If he can stay on the field, this team looks different. Romeo Dobbs is out of the fold now, and I know there's still some traffic in the room, but if there's a guy, if someone's got to step up, I know they just paid Christian Watson, but they've paid Jaden Reed too. Those guys, in terms of what they're going to look at, I think can be the 1-2 punch. You know, Matthew Golden's in there as well. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but the opportunity is there for Jaden Reed to assert himself as the top receiver for Jordan Love. It's just a matter of if he is going to take it or not. JP, your X factor.
My X factor is, and I kind of alluded to it during the running back portion, but my X factor is going to be Jaylen Warren. I think we see what Warren's if Warren's able to be a weekly participant in the receiving game, if he's getting carries still on the goal line, it'll be interesting with Dowdle in there. I think Warren, they have him right now as the running back 32. This app is fucking so stupid. Um, he's way better than that. So let's just clear the air on that. But let's say he's the running back 22. I think there's a chance that he can exceed that. And then I think there is a reality where keep trade cut proves me wrong, and we look back at this and Warren is the running back 32. But there's such a ceiling with him and such a floor that I think he is the X factor for Wade's team.
Yeah, I'll hop in here real quick for the X Factor. I got TJ Hawkinson. I kind of talked about it earlier. I do think he bounces back, and I think he's going to be the X Factor for Wade's team. You know, if he can produce the 15 to 20 points, not even 15 to 20, if he can produce 10 to 15 points for Wade in our tight end premium league, I think it's going to help out Wade a lot. And I think his tight end position is going to determine if he gets 5 wins this season or if he gets 2 wins this season. So.
My X factor, for the same reasons that JP gave, is Bryce Young. We've harped a lot on this about Jalen Hurts takes Wade's team to a whole new level. Lock him in as the QB1. Well, what if Bryce Young takes that step to be a fantasy QB1? Well, then Wade has two QB1s on his roster. How much more elite does that make his squad in terms of where we're at in quarterback rooms? That could elevate his room even more. in the league rankings. If Bryce Young steps in, and if he's a guy that Wade has to start every week because of how well he's playing, that makes Sam Darnold totally expendable in potential trade talks for teams who need that depth in our league. And Wade could replenish and get even more assets for the rest of his team. So if Bryce Young can take that step forward, can break through like JP thinks he can and might be able to do so, that could be a determining factor as to how Wade shapes the roster around the trade deadline. Beep, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying
there's just no way. I can't even wrap my head around it. There's no way this guy's breaking out or being an X factor on a team.
He got
shout out Jalen Coker. I love
year.
you, man. But I mean, I just can't wrap my head around it. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. I just can't. I got nothing against the guy, but go for it. Yeah.
Let's get to the disappointment before we look at Wade's schedule to round out this episode. My disappointment is going to be Jacoby Myers. Really no moves in terms of guys going out for Jacksonville. They still have Brian Thomas. Parker Washington had a really good year last year. I think the hope would be that Thomas would have gotten traded. Myers steps in as probably the top receiver in that room. Instead, they didn't really lose any guys. I know they're talking about Hunter mainly being on the defensive side of the ball, but he's going to have to compete for targets along with Brenton Strange, who just got a new contract. So I think Myers will still have a good season. I view the disappointment category as a guy who's not going to perform as well as you think. I'm not saying this guy's going to have a bad season. I'm viewing it as he's just not going to meet up to expectations. And I think a lot of that is because of how busy that pass catching room is going to be for Jacksonville this year.
Yeah, I'll hop in here. My disappointment is going to be Jacory Krosky Merritt. Like I talked in a little bit of the preview, I think he's going to end up being the RB3 by the end of the year. I think Katron Allen and Rashad White are going to be the main workhorses in that running back room. And I just think I don't know, I just don't see it Washington being home for Krosky Merritt. I think Katron Allen and Rashad White are going to surprise some people, and I think they're the better running backs. So I don't think Bill's that good. So.
Well, Drew took my disappointment, so now I'm not as excited as I was. But yes, my disappointment is also Bill. I think he's super talented, but I think the problem is he lacks vision and he lacks ball security. And coaches will not play you in the NFL if you cannot hold on to the ball. A turnover, they bring up the stat every year, but if your team forces one turnover, you increase your chances to win by 80%, and if you force two turnovers, it increases by like 120% or something ridiculous like that. And Bill is a turnover problem. I think Bill is probably going to be a disappointment.
All righty, there you have it. The awards for Wade's squad. We got a few minutes. Let's look at his schedule here for the season. What is the floor? What is the ceiling? I love his team avatar.
Oh, that's awesome.
JP, what do we got here?
For Wade, I have Wade's floor at 5-9. If we take a look here, well, first we'll talk about the ceiling, in which I think he could go 7-7. I think these first 3 weeks he could start 3-0. A loss to Beef 3-1, beats Wade 4-1, loses to Frank 4-2, loses to the Rippas, Dogs, Nuz, and Rippas again. Now, if you're playing at home, he's sitting at 4-6, beats Brady 5-6, beats Andy in week 12 6-6, loses to Beef 6-7, and wins against Jack in week 14. That is the absolute ceiling at 7-7. I think his floor is 5-9. He loses the game to Andy in the floor scenario. He loses to Jack, puts him at 5-9. I got his projection at 6-8.
Drew?
That's where I'm about. I'm about at like 5.5 is win total. I think like JP said, good possibility he starts out 3-0, but it's fantasy football, man. Anything can happen. I don't know. I think Jalen Hurts it's just gonna depend on his weeks, and it really we'll just have to go back and look at his bye weeks. I don't know how that fluctuates with his team, but it's good that he plays 3 teams right off the bat that are pretty even with him. He's got the upper hand, and he's got no bye week starting yet, so that helps him out a lot. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
I think the ceiling's also 7 wins. I think the floor is going to be 4 wins, though. And I only say that because Wade is known to be probably one of the more frequent traders in this league. And I know we're kind of incorporating just based on what we have right now, but I think we also have to kind of think of what could happen in the future. If he makes a move or two that could put his team in a rougher spot. I know the trend is he's ascending, right? He's trying to build upwards. He's not acquiring draft capital, but still, you never know what player swaps could be in the future for him. That's why I dock him at 4. I think he'll hang right around that 6 win mark, though. I think that's a good spot for him. Could I see him getting up to 8? Absolutely. I just think a lot of things need to break his way, health wise, bye week wise, opponent wise. I think, no pun intended, 6 or 7 wins is a good spot to have him. I could see him dropping as low as 4, but I really don't think that happens either, given that form. I think this could be a really fun season for Wade if he plays his cards the right way. We thank you so much for tuning in to this episode here of our preseason power ranking series. Already 4 of these in the books right here on the Just Beavin podcast.